Hi, this is Munson from Munson Music, and we're going to talk about how you can play a song called Coyotes by Don Edwards. And it starts out with some beautiful, beautiful lead guitar licks. And it starts out on the high E string on the 2nd fret, and then we're going to play 5th fret on the high E string, and then open E, and then 2nd fret on the high E, and then 3rd fret on the B string, and then open B. And then there's kind of variations on that loop that kind of turn up after that. But just to go over that again, you got 2, 5, open, 2 on the E string, and then B string 3rd, open B. And then the next lick, you go 3rd fret on the B string, and then open E, which is kind of like a little lead-in into a variation on the first lick, where we're going to take 2nd fret on the high E and do a hammer-on to the 5th fret on the high E, and I'm using pinky for that. And then I'm going to do a pull-off right after that. So it's kind of a 2-5-2 hammer-on pull-off. Where you're going 2-5-2 with a hammer-on pull-off. And then we're going open E, and then 2nd fret on the high E, and then back to 3rd fret on the B string. So from the beginning, you got 2-5-0-2-3-0, 3-0-2-5-2-0-2-3. And then the next part's kind of a variation on that again. We've got that 3rd fret on the B string and then the open E. It's kind of a walk up into 2nd fret on the high E. But then we play 2nd fret on the high E and do a slide to 5th fret. And then do an open E. And then 2nd fret on the B. And then 3rd fret on the B string. So that like you got 3-0-2-2-5, open, 2-3. And then we go back to open B string. And then the last lick, you're kind of going back to your second lick where you got 3rd fret on the B and an open E is kind of a lead-in for the 2-5-2 hammer-on pull-off where you got hammer on to 5th, pull off to 2nd, open E, 2nd fret on the high E, 3rd fret on the B. So all together you got 2-5, open, 2-3-0, 3-0-2-5-2-0-2-3. 3-0-2-2-5 slide open, 2-3 on the B string, open B. 3-0-2-5-2 hammer on pull off, open E, 2-3, which is a beautiful lead guitar part at the very beginning. But then the rhythm part is going to start on a D major, and the way you play a D major, first finger is going to go to the G string on the 2nd fret, the 2nd finger is going to go to the high E on the 2nd fret, and the 3rd finger is going to go to the B string on the 3rd fret. And if you strum just the top 4 strings, just D, G, B, and E, that makes a D major chord and it sounds really, really happy. And then from D major, we're going to be going to an A major chord. And the way you play A major, first finger is going to go to the D string on the 2nd fret, 2nd finger is going G string on the 2nd fret, and the 3rd finger is going to the B string on the 2nd fret. And if you strum all those together, that makes an A major chord and it sounds really, really happy. And then from A major, we're going to be going to G major chord. And the way you play G major, first finger is going to go to the A string on the 2nd fret, 2nd finger is going to go low E on the 3rd fret, and the 3rd finger is going to go to the high E on the 3rd fret. And if you strum all those together, then that makes a G major chord and it sounds really, really happy. And what's actually kind of happening in the rhythm guitar part with those chords in the intro and also in our verses, and also in our pre-chorus part, is there's something called an arpeggio in music. And what an arpeggios is where you're breaking up those chords. So rather than strumming the whole D chord, if you start on the D string and just kind of do the D string, G string, and then the B string, and then the E string, and kind of break it up playing individual strings, that's called an arpeggio. So we do the D string as an arpeggio, and then we go to the A string, and on the A string, A major, I like starting on the A string for your root, and then we're going to do that same G, B, E as the last part of the arpeggio. So on the A string, you're going A, G, B, E, A, G, B, E for the A chord. And on the G major chord, you want to do the low E string for the bass, and then keep your G, B, E as part of the arpeggio. And a lot, so on the G, you got low E string, and then G string, B, high E string. So just to try that all together, you got D major with the D, G, B, E, A major with the A string, G string, B string, E string, G major with the low E string, G, B, high E. So you got. So So that would be a really cool thing to kind of add in, because a lot of the song kind of sounds like it's revolving around those arpeggios. But another way to play the song would be working off a strum pattern. And one of my favorite strum patterns for a 4/4 like this is down, down, up, up, down, up. So if you just took the D major and just tried that a lot, you'd have down, down, up, up, down, up, down, down, up, up, down, up, down, down, up, up, down, up, down, down, up, up, down, up. So you want to do that a lot just to kind of get your right hand used to it. The weird thing is the D and the A major would be halving that strum pattern. So what you want to do is take the D and just do a down, down, up, and then go to the A major for a down, down, up, and then go to the G for your whole strum patterns with the down, down, up, down, up. So that can be a little bit cool, especially if the arpeggios are difficult for you. You could just do this as a strum tune where you got the D with the down, down, up, A, down, down, up, G, down, down, up, down, D, down, down, up, A, down, down, G, down, down, up, down, D, down, down, A, down, down, G, down, down, up, down, D, down, down, A, down, down, G, down, down, up, down. Now there are other parts with the arpeggio though where it feels like the G chord is kind of getting filled in a little bit more. So just to go over the arpeggio just a hair more, because that is a good thing to try and practice. You could do the D string with the arpeggio D, G, B, E, and then go to the A with the A, G, B, E. But then when you get to the G chord, you could do two of the arpeggios. So you could go low E string and then the G, B, E, low E, G, B, E, D string, D, G, B, A with the A, G, B, E, G with the low E, G, B, E, G with the low E, G, B, E. So that might be something you want to practice too, just to kind of fill that in. But then most of our verse and our pre-chorus is actually the same chord progression. So just to try that through our verse, doing the strumming, you'd have the D with the down, down, up, A, down, down, G, down, down, up, down, D, down, down, up, A, down, down, G, down, down, up, down, D, down, down, up, A, down, down, G, down, down, up, down, D, down, down, up, A, down, down, G, down, down, up, down. Pre-chorus, which is basically the same thing, except for at the very end we're going to end up halving the G and A the way we're halving the D and A. So we have the G with the down, down, up, and then the A with the down, down, up at the very end. So you may want to just practice that too, just that G, down, up, A, down, down, up. But just to try that whole pre-chorus, you'd have the D, down, up, A, down, down, up, G, down, down, up, down, up, D, down, down, up, A, down, down, G, down, down, up, down, D, down, down, A, down, down, G, down, down, up, down, D, down, down, A, down, down, half a G, down, down, half an A, down, down, and then we go into our chorus part, and our chorus starts on a B minor chord, and the way you play a B minor, first finger is going to go across the entire second fret, second finger is going to go to the B string on the third fret, third finger is going to go to the D on the fourth fret, and the pinky is going to go underneath that on the G string on the fourth fret. And we'll talk about an easier way to do that in a minute, but if you strum all those together, that sounds a B minor bar chord. It sounds really, really sad. But an easier way to do that, if you're just starting out and you're just looking for an easy way to do it, would be to kind of take just the high strings of that chord. So if you took high E string on the second fret, second finger on the B string on the third fret, and third finger on the G string on the fourth fret, you could just strum the top four or the top three strings, and that's still a B minor chord. But if you want to make it a little bit bigger, you could do first finger on the high E second, second finger on the B string on the third fret, third finger on the D string on the fourth fret, and the pinky underneath that on the G on the fourth fret, and you could kind of strum the top four strings with that, and that's another B minor. It sounds a little bit more powerful. But I really like the bar chord B minor, so you may want to try that. And then from B minor, we're going to be going to the G major chord, and then we're going to be going to an E minor chord. And the way you play E minor, first finger is going to go to the A on the second fret, second finger is going to go to the D on the second fret, and if you strum all those together, that makes an E minor chord, and it sounds really, really sad. and then we're going to be going to the A major, and then we're going to go back to E minor, and then if you're just starting out, we'll talk about another way to do this with the arpeggios in a minute, but then we're going to go to D major, and then we're going to go to G major, and then we'll do the A major at the end. So just to try that with our strum pattern, the down, down, up, down, up, you'd have the B minor with the down, down, up, down, up, G, down, down, up, down, up, E minor, down, down, up, down, up, A major, down, down, up, down, up, E minor, down, down, up, down, up, D major, down, down, up, down, up, G, down, down, up, down, up, A major, down, 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 up. And in the recording, it kind of sounds like there's some extra downs on the A. So you may want to try and kind of match the recording for that part. But if you're doing your arpeggios, then on the B minor, you want to do the A string for your bass, and then kind of do the G string, B string, E string. So we got A, G, B, E for the B minor. That's kind of the arpeggio part. And then the E or the G major, you want to do the low E string for the bass, and then keep the G, B, E. So kind of using low E for the bass on that one. And then for the E minor, you'd be doing the same thing. You got low E for the bass, and then the G, B, E, low E bass, G, B, E, low E bass, G, B, E. And then when you get to the A major, you'd be doing the A string for the bass, just like we're doing in the intro. But through this part, you'll actually have to do that arpeggio twice on each chord, kind of like we were feeling in the G earlier. But then on the D chord, it actually sounds like there's an F sharp in the bass, or something called a D/F sharp. And one way that people do that is if you take the D major and take the thumb and put them over the low E string on the 2nd fret, you could use the thumb to kind of cover that bass note if you wanted to, and do low E string in the bass and then the G, B, E for the D chord. Now that's kind of a blues technique. It's very John Mayer, very Stevie Ray Vaughan, very Jimi Hendrix. Another way to do it is to do first finger on the low E on the 2nd fret, second finger on the G string on the 2nd fret, third finger on the high E on the 2nd fret, and the pinky on the B string. So you'd have to use the pinky to do it a different way. But your arpeggio would stay the same. You'd do low E string, and then G, B, E, low E, G, B, E, low E, G, B, E. Another way to do that would be to just cheat it and not worry about that low E string on the 2nd fret. But the cool thing about that is you really get some nice voice leading going from E minor to the D/F sharp to the G major in that part of the chorus. So just to try that whole chorus with arpeggio, you'd have the B minor, G with the low E for the bass, E minor with the low E bass, A with the A bass, E minor with the low E bass, D/F sharp with the low E bass, G with the low E bass, and the A major with the A bass. And it still kind of sounds like you got those extra downs at the very end of the A. But if you're just going to strum through it though, you'd just be thinking that down, down, up, all the way through. We'd have the B minor, down, up, down, the G major, down, down, up, down, E minor, down, down, up, down, up, A, down, down, up, down, E minor, down, down, up, down, D/F sharp, down, down, G, down, down, up, down, A, down, 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 kind of for your chorus. But another way to do the arpeggio too, if the pick kind of feels kind of weird and you feel slightly adventurous, you could take your right hand fingers and actually your thumb becomes the bass player. Your index finger is going to end up playing the G string, middle finger on the B string, and then the ring finger on the high E string. So on the D chord, you may want to try this fingerstyle too, because for me it actually feels better to do this way, where you do the thumb for the D string, and then you're just taking index, middle, ring for your arpeggio on the D. So when it comes back, just to try that through one time, like with the fingerstyle, you'd have your verse doing the D major arpeggio with the D bass, A with the A bass, index, middle, ring, and then the G with the low E bass, index, middle, ring, G with low E. And at the very end, I would end on a D chord, or a D arpeggio, just to kind of try that. So you could do it fingerstyle, or you could try it strumming, or you could try it with the arpeggios with the pick. So there's a couple different ways that you could actually kind of approach Coyotes. But that's the basics of how you play Coyotes by Don Edwards. So good luck!